Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be teaching us how to make this beautiful gown you see on the mannequin. This gown is a princess armhole bustier. I'm talking about the upper part now. It's a princess armhole bustier with an overlap. Can you see how the left overlaps on the right and then stops at the bust point here? And you can see the scallop part of our lace. See, it's overlapping on the other. Then from the half length to the knee point is a straight skirt. And then from the knee point to the hem, I have two steps gathers. You see, this is one and this is the second step. And here at the sleeve is just a small flash sleeve. I also have it on this side. This gown is beautiful and really simple to make. I hope this is something you're interested in learning. If this is it, make sure to watch to the end. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe and put on your notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. So let's get right into the video. So these are the I'll be making use of these materials for this project, and this is a doll face satin that will serve as the lining. And then this is our lace fabric, which is the main fabric. And these are the measurements we're going to be making use of. The shoulder measurement is 17 inches, the bust is 52, the under bust is 44, the waist is also 44, the hip measurement is 52 inches. Then the sleeve length is 13 inches. We also have the shoulder to nipple point, which is 12.5, shoulder to under bust is 17, shoulder to half length. This is the front half length, and that's 19 inches. And then this is the shoulder to back half length, and that's 17 inches. So the difference between the front half length and back half length of this client is 2 inches. Our front and back length are never the same. So now the full length of the gown is 63 inches, and then also the shoulder to knee point is 44 inches. Another measurement we need is the nipple to nipple measurement, which is the bust span, and in this case it is 9 inches. So having read out the measurements, the next thing I'm going to do is to fold my fabric. I'll be drafting directly on this satin. So to determine the amount of fabric to fold, since we are starting with the upper part, so I'll divide the bust circumference, which is the biggest measurement I'm working with at the upper part. I'll divide the bust circumference by 4 and add 4 inches to it. And here the bust is 52. So I'm going to divide 52 by 4, and that will give me 13 inches. So plus 4 inches to that measurement, so that will give me 17 inches. This will actually take care of all my dart intakes. So as you can see, I folded my 17 inches, and then I'm going ahead to draw the shoulder line, which is the starting line. Next, I went ahead to mark the bust point from the shoulder line. Then next, I'm going to mark the under bust point. And then next, I'll mark the half length. So I mark the bust point, the under bust point, and then the half length. The half length is 19 inches. I added half inch to that measurement, so that's 19.5. I need half inch to join them together. So this is me going ahead to label the point. The B bust is for the bust line, the under bust, and then the half length. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the chest line. So to get the chest line, I'm going to divide the bust circumference by 6 plus 2.5, and that will give us the chest line. So this is the chest line here. It is a standard. Divide the bust measurement by 6 plus 2.5 and you have the chest line. Now on the shoulder line, I'm going to enter the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch, and that gave me 9 inches. And then I'm going to mark a neck width of 4 inches still on the shoulder line. And now to create the shoulder slant, I'm going to place my tape where I have the shoulder measurement. I'll come down by 1.5 inches for the shoulder slant of the front. And you can see I connected it to the neck width. Then now on the chest line, I'm going to mark half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch here, which is 9 inches. So I'm marking the shoulder measurement here on the chest line. So I'll connect with a straight line to the shoulder line. So having done that, now the next thing I'm going to do is to curve the armhole. So to curve the armhole from the chest line, I'll go up by 3 inches from that point, from the chest line, and then I'll go in by 3/4 of an inch at this 3 inches mark I have here. This is to eliminate any bulge or any gathering around the armhole area, okay? So having gone in by 3/4 of an inch, I'll connect it back to the shoulder tip like this using my straight ruler. And then next, I'm going to curve the armhole to the chest line. So to curve the armhole to the chest line, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4, and which gave me 13 inches. So I'll curve the armhole to meet that 13 inches mark I have there. So that's it. So now we have the front armhole. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to enter the bust pan, which is the nipple to nipple measurement. And the nipple to nipple is 9 inches. I'm going to divide this measurement by 2, and that will give me 4.5. So plus half inch for joining the bustier. So I'm marking on 5 inches. Remember, I'm drafting on my fabric, so I need to add that half inch. So I'm marking this 5 inches all the way down the bust point line, the underbust, and then the half length. I'll connect it with my straight ruler like this. So now I'm going to do my dart intake. So here on the bust line, I'm going to enter quarter of the bust measurement, which is 13 inches. So now I haven't done that. So now to determine the dart intake we're going to be using on the waist and the underbust, I'm going to divide the underbust measurement by 4. And I'll also divide the bust measurement by 4, which we already have 13. So I will subtract the the under bust measurement from the bust measurement. I hope we get it. So the bust measurement divided by 4 is 13. The under bust divided by 4 is 11. So I'm going to subtract the under bust measurement from it, and the difference is 2 inches. So that 2 inches is what I'm going to use for my dart intake here. Okay, so this just works well so that you don't do too much or do too small. So here at the center front, I'll mark half inch on this side, and I'll also mark half inch on this side of the center front. And then on this other side, I'm going to mark the remaining 1.5 inches. Remember, we got 2 inches. So now I marked half inch on the middle side, and then at the side here, I marked the remaining 1.5 inches. So that's a total of 2 inches for my dart intake. I hope that is clear. So now on the bust point line, I'm going to come down by 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to use my armhole to connect from this 3/4 inch I came down by. I'll connect it to the underbust line. You can see I've curved out that side, and I'll also do the same thing for this side. You want to make sure that the curve is well blended. Can you see? So now we have our dart intake. We have tightened the underbust. So the next thing we're going to do is to draw our princess armhole style line. And to do that, I'm taking the measurement from the shoulder slant to the chest line, which is the armhole line. I'll get the midpoint. Haven't got the midpoint, I'm going to come down by 3/4 of an inch from this midpoint. For small size people, you can do half inch, or for average people, this is a plus size. So that's why I'm doing 3/4 of an inch. And then from the bust point line, I'll go up by 3/4 of an inch as well. Then I'll place my armhole curve and connect to the armhole line. That's place my armhole curve from the bust point and then connect to the armhole line, just like this. Can you see that? And then next, I'll come down to that 3/4 of an inch I came down by and then connect it as well. So we'll be cutting out this. This is our armhole dart. And if you don't do this, you're going to have bulginess around the armpit area. So now this 3/4 of an inch I'm going to be cutting out there. I'm replacing it back here on the chest line. So you can see I'm marking 3/4 of an inch here. So the next thing I'll be doing is to enter our horizontal measurements. So here on the bust line, you can see I already have the bust measurement divided by 4. So I'll go ahead and add 2 inches for my sewing allowance. I need a half inch to join the side piece and the center piece. So that's half inch on both sides. So that's a total of 1 inch. I'm going to enter that 1 inch. I'll also add it. So that means I'm adding a total of 3 inches because I want to finish and have my 2 inches. I hope we get that. Then here on the underbust line, I'll enter the underbust divided by 4, and then I'll replace my 2 inches dart intake, and then I'll also add the same 3 inches I added to the bust point line. If you're okay with just adding 2 inches and then when you sew you are left with your 1 inch, that's fine. But I want to have these 2 inches when I am done, okay? So here on the waistline, the underbust measurement is the same as the waist measurement. So exactly what I have on the underbust is what I have on the waistline as well. And you can see I have connected my points. And you see, so on the chest line here, just marking it out. So that's it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the side dart, which is the difference between the front half length and the back half length, which is 2 inches. The front half length is 19 while the back is 17, so that's 2 inches. So I marked it here at the side, that's from the waistline. I came up by 2 inches and you can see I connected it to the first dart leg. That's just to the side piece. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is to draw the neck depth or the neck depth. This is a temporal neckline because we're going to be having an overlap, so we don't really need this neckline, but I'm just drawing it. So our neck depth is 4 inches while the neck width is also 4 inches. So now for the side piece, can you see? By the time we cut out our darts, the side piece is going to be shorter than the center piece. We're going to join them together. So now I need to extend the side piece at the armhole area. So I'm just going to measure what my dart intake is at the underbust area, which is 2 inches. So I'll place my tape from the curve of the armhole and come out by that 2 inches. Can you see? And I just curve it. So now this is the new armhole of the side, while for the center piece we're maintaining the original armhole. This is just for the side. If you don't do this, by the time you cut out your darts, you are going to have a shortage. Okay, so I've cut out my darts and this is what we have. So now, I see I'm trying to match up the bust point, the chest line and all that. So can you see that after matching it up, can you see that the center piece and the side piece, can you see what we have here? So you can see where the previous armhole went inwards into. If we had left it that way, of course, there will be a shortage. So that by the time we are done joining this side piece and center piece together, we can now reshape the armhole. So I'm going ahead to notch the bust point and the under bust point. You want to make sure to notch all these points so that when you are joining them, those points will match up. You want to make sure that they are well aligned. This will actually determine how the bustier will come out. I hope we understand that. So it's now time for us to create the overlap effect, and we're going to have the overlapping effect only at the center. That's at the center piece, and it will stop at the bust point. So to create the overlapping effect, from the neck width here, I will come out by 1 inch. Having marked 1 inch here, I'm going to bring in my straight ruler and connect from this 1 inch mark I have here to the bust point where I notched already. And you see, you just want to be careful and draw this line like this. And then I'll bring in my scissors and cut out the shape. So this is what I have here. So now I need 2 pieces of this because they are going to overlap on each other. So I'm going to place this piece right side facing right side of my fabric so that I can cut the opposite side. So as you can see, I've cut the second side and this is how they are going to overlap on each other like this. So this depends on the side, if you want the left to overlap or the right to overlap, whichever one you want to achieve. Right now, it's now time for us to draft our back piece. So to draft the back piece, I folded my fabric already, and the place I'm measuring right now is my 1.5 inches zip allowance. And then here is the shoulder line. So from the shoulder line, I placed my tape to mark the chest line. And then next I marked the back half length, which is 17 inches plus half inch for joining the sleeve. So this is me rolling out the chest line. So on the chest line, I'm going to enter half of the shoulder measurement, which is what I have here on the shoulder line, half of the shoulder measurement plus half inch for joining the sleeve, and that gave me 9 inches. And I have a neck width of 4 inches also. So on the chest line, I'm going to mark that 9 inches, which is half of the shoulder measurement. And then I'll connect with a straight line to the shoulder line. To create the shoulder slant, I came down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant, and then I'm going to connect it to the neck width of 4 inches I have here. So the back shoulder slant is 1 inch. And then to curve the armhole, I'll measure here and get the midpoint of the armhole line, and then I'll go in by by half of an inch at this point, and then I'll connect it back to the shoulder tip. So at the midpoint, I went in by ½ inch. So on the chest line, I'll mark quarter of the bust measurement, which is the bust measurement divided by 4, and then I'll curve my armhole to meet that point. So on this chest line, I'm going to add my sewing allowance of 2 inches. Here on the waistline, I'm going to mark the waist divided by 4 plus 2 inches, and then plus 1 inch for darts. So for the back, I added a sewing allowance of only 2 inches because the back, we do not have a style line that I will have to cut open and join back together. So 2 inches is just fine. So placing my tape from the center back, I marked the nipple to nipple measurement. That's half of it, which is 4.5. I marked it on the waistline and on the chest line. So my dart intake, I'll be taking a dart of ½ inch on both sides. So on the chest line here, I'll come down by half of an inch and then connect my dart to the waistline. So this is me drawing the dart legs, and this is it. Next, I'm going to eliminate zipper bulge. You want to make sure to do this. If not, the zipper will be folding at the back. So to eliminate that zipper bulge, I have a zip allowance already here of 1.5 inches. So I'll go in by half of an inch, and then I'll be left with 1 inch there. And then I'll slant it to meet the shoulder line. Just slant it all the way to the shoulder line. We'll be cutting out this part and throwing it away. So now you can see that I'm left with 1 inch. By the time I use ½ inch to turn my lining, I'll be left with ½ inch. So that means when I'm sewing my zip, I'll sew on 1 inch. So sewing on 1 inch means that I'll actually go into my actual measurement. I hope you understand that. So this will actually help to eliminate any form of zipper bulge. So for the back neck depth, I'm using 4 inches. So I'm going to curve it, which you can see I've marked the back neck depth. So now this is me bringing in the front piece. That's the front shoulder. Remember that when we were creating the overlap effect, I came in by 1 inch from that point. So meaning that the width of the neckline is 5 inches. So you want to make sure that the front and back shoulders are equal when you join them together. So you can see I extended the neck width and I made it 5 inches. Okay, so now we're done with our back, so I'll go ahead and cut out our back piece. So this is me cutting out the zipper bulge. We'll be throwing out this part, and then here is the armhole. Just want to follow through with this, cut, 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 and cut. So after cutting out the back piece, I'll notch the dart point. This is to indicate that this is where my dart will be stitched. And then I'm going to measure the length of the dart so that when I'm stitching, I'll know what to stitch on. And that's 6.5 inches so that I don't exceed that. So it's now time for us to cut the skirt part. So you can see my fabric is folded. The front piece is folded on top of the back piece. And you notice that the back piece has an extension of 1.5 inches for my zip allowance. So I'm marking this 1.5 inches line. So you can see that this line now is the center back and the upper one is going to be the center front. So next I'm marking this waistline, which is the starting line for the down part. So from this waistline, all my measurements will start from minus 18.5 because the half length, the front half length is 19 inches. So I'm placing my tape on minus 18.5 because we have the upper bodies already. So, and we need ½ inch to join the skirt parts to the upper bodies. So that's why I'm placing my tape on minus 18.5. And then I went ahead to mark on the hip line, which is 25 inch and 27 inches. I beg your pardon. And then this is the knee line. Okay, the measurement, my fabric stops exactly on the knee line. So I'm just going ahead to straighten out my lines. So my measurement is starting from minus the half length, which is minus 18.5 because I need ½ inch to join the upper part. So that's why I'm not placing my tape on minus 19. So on the waistline, I entered the waist measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches.
and I repeated the same thing on the hip line, the hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Now for the knee line, whatever I have on the waistline determines what I will have on the knee line. So here I have 15 inches on the hip line. I'm going to subtract 1.5 inches from it and enter it on the knee line. So here I have 15 inches. I already mentioned that. So minus 1.5, that will give me 13 inches. So I'm going to mark 13 inches on the knee line. So whatever you have, subtract 1.5 from it and it will fit perfectly. So I'll go ahead and connect it using my straight ruler, and I also connect to the waistline here. So now the next thing we're going to do is to eliminate zipper bulge, just like we did for our upper bodies. We eliminated zipper bulge. So this is me just going ahead to straighten out my lines onto the zip allowance. So the next thing we'll be doing now is to eliminate zipper bulge like we did for the upper bodies. So you can see from the zip allowance area, I came in by half of an inch. Now we'll go to the knee area. So this knee area, I'm going to subtract 1 inch from that measurement. I have 1.5, I'll subtract 1 inch from that measurement. This is so that we can create that bomb, that nice bomb illusion. You want the butt to come out really well. So here on the hip line, I'm maintaining my 1.5 inches. So I'll connect from the hemline, and then I'll connect from the hip line to the waistline. So on the waistline, I took out half inch for zipper bulge, and then on the knee line, I took out 1 inch completely. This is to help the butt come out really well. So now that 1 inch I removed from the center back, that's from the center back, I'm going to replace it here at the side. So basically, I'm transferring the 1 inch to the side. This is so that the butt can come out well. So you can see I marked the 1 inch at the side here. I'm using a different color of chalk so that we can see it clearly. So now I marked 1 inch, and you can see I connected to the hip line, just like I did on the center back. So now the next thing we're going to do is to create the waist sloper. This is to avoid any smile lines around the hip line in front. So to create the waist sloper, I came down by 1 inch from the center front, and then I'll slant it to meet my actual measurement, not to the sewing allowance. Can you see where it stopped? It stopped at the actual measurement, and this I'm doing this only for the front piece. Okay, so now it's time for us to cut out our piece. I'm going to be cutting on the back marking. That's the blue chalk that I have here. This is so that when we are done, we'll now separate the front from the back and then cut out the front properly. So here, this is me cutting out the zipper bulge. You can see. And then this is the bomb illusion. I'll cut out this part, which is what I have transferred. So you can see what the center back looks like. You can see it's no longer straight. So now I'm going to notch the zip allowance so that you indicate that that's the center back. You don't want to make the mistake of not notching it. If not, it will be, they will look alike. You can mistakenly interchange them. So now I've separated the front from the back. Now I'll go ahead and cut out that 1 inch that I have the marking in front, because we don't need it in front. If you leave it in front, you are increasing the front measurement. I hope we get that. So right now, I'll go ahead and cut out the waist sloper. So this will actually help the waist, the front piece to sit well. You don't want to see any gathering, any smile lines in front. So this is what our front piece and our back piece looks like. So you can see I aligned them by the side, so you can see my 1.5 inches zip allowance has shown up on the knee line back, because I just transferred my 1 inch to the side. I hope we understand that. So right now I'll place this on my fabric, which is the lace, and cut out all the pieces, and then I'll show us the next thing to do. So right now I'm done cutting my lace, and I also went ahead to cut the second lining. Because we are working with lace, you need a second lining. So for all the pieces I have, we all have three pieces each. One is the lace, the second is the satin, and then the lining. And I also ironed hasty to the satin fabric. So basically what I'm saying is that all pieces have three each. So you can see this is our side piece. I placed the satin, underneath the lace. And this is our centerpiece. You can see how the two pieces are overlapping on top of each other. Now, this is our center front piece. You can see that the neckline area has the scallop part of the lace. So now we want this scallop part of the lace to rest on the skin of my client. So we're not going to be turning that part, that neckline area. Now, this is what we're going to do. I'll be joining the lace and the satin together. But while joining it, I'm going to leave 1 inch away from the scallop part of the neckline. Just watch the way my finger is moving. I'm going to stop 1 inch away from this bust point. This is so that we can place the lining on the right side of the satin and use it to turn the neckline. So I'm turning only the lining and the satin. I won't be touching the scallop part of the lace. The scallop part of the lace is supposed to rest on the skin of the person wearing this outfit. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. I'm going to stitch my lining round, leave 1 inch away so that I can stitch the lining to turn the neckline. Okay, I hope we understand that. We'll understand it better when I have done it. I will show us what I've done. So that's what I'll be doing for the satin. So I'm going to stitch all the lace and satin together and then turn the neckline. So this is what we have here for our skirt. I've also cut the lace fabric. Now I'll keep this aside. So this is it, the gathers that we're going to have at the down part of the gown. Remember that the length of the upper bodice and the skirt part stopped at 44 inches and the full length of my client is 63 inches. So I subtracted 44 from 63 inches and that gave me 19 inches. So that means we're still looking for 19 inches in length. So here this fabric is about 20 inches. That's the length. The longer one I have here is 20 inches and the width I have here is 92 inches. So how did I come about 92 inches? I measured what I have at the down part of the skirt part and then I multiplied it by 2. So it is actually more than that 92 in it's less than 92 inches, but this is so that the gathers can be full. So I just used what I have for the fabric. So you can multiply what you have at the hem times 2.5 or times 3 depending on how full you want it to be. For this project, I'm using 5 yards of fabric and you can see it didn't even give me up to 3 steps because the person I'm making this outfit for is a plus size. So if you are on the slim side, 5 yards should be able to give you 3 steps, okay? So now this is it. It is the sleeve now I'm drafting. The sleeve is just going to be a small flare sleeve. It's just our normal basic sleeve. These are normal basic sleeves. So you can see I'm drafting my basic sleeve. I got the midpoint of the slanted line. I folded it in. So I'm also folding in at this point. So if you don't know how to draft a basic sleeve, I'll be dropping the link in the description box. I've done several basic sleeve on my channel. So this is just a repeat, okay? So I'm just drafting my basic sleeve and then I'll open it up. So this basic sleeve is going to just flare out a little. So you can see I'm not really taking any measurement because I want it a bit big on the down part to give that flare effect. So that's it for the basic sleeve. So I'll cut it out and then I'll show us the next thing to do. Now to stitch the front pieces, as you can see, I've stitched the neckline. I've turned the neckline, my lining, and you can see the scallop part of my lace is still showing here and it's coming out really beautiful. I repeated the same thing on the other side of the front piece. So I'm going to place them on top of each other. The left is overlapping on the right, and this is what I have here. So now I'm going to pin this side. Now take note of what I'm doing. The side that is overlapping on the other side, I'm pinning only the lace fabric. I'm pinning them together, leaving out the lining that is underneath. Then on this other side, I'm going to pin all of them together, all 4 of them together. So can you see? On the other side, I left the lining out, the side with the full lining, but this side with the half lining here, this side I'm touching right now, I'm pinning all of them together. I'll take this to my sewing machine and stitch this side all together. And then this other side, I'm going to stitch only the lace together, leaving the lining out. And I have done that already. As you can see, they are together, and I left out the lining on this side. And then on the other side, I stitched all of them together. So I'm going to place the side piece right side facing the right side of the center piece, and I'll stitch on 1/2 inch, which is my sewing allowance. And then on this side, I'm also going to still leave the lining out, and then I'll stitch the side piece right side facing right side, and I'll stitch them together and stitch the lining to that's the side piece of the lining to the center piece. Okay, as you can see, I'm done stitching them, so I'm going ahead to notch it. You want to notch it so that when you iron, it can relax well. So I stitch the fabric to fabric, lining to lining. Can you see how I stitch the lining and I've covered that side? So now this side that has all four of them is the side that is open. So I'm going to now place the lining, that's the side piece lining. I'll place it here on this side. Can you see? You want to make sure to follow the curve. So now this part is going to turn both the center piece and everything so that it hides it neatly. So I'll take this to my sewing machine and then stitch it, and then I'll have this like this. Can you see what I have here? So I'll take this to my sewing machine, stitch it, and then iron it and show us the next thing to do. So you can see this is what my lining looks like on the reverse side. You can see how beautiful it is. You don't want to leave any rough seam outside. So now this is what we're going to do. We're going to reshape the armhole. So remember that the armhole of the side piece had this extension. After joining it, this is what I have here. So now I'm going to now reshape the armhole. So this is my chest line, or the chest line I'm marking right now. And remember that the middle piece has the exact armhole. So I'm just placing my armhole to curve out the armhole correctly. And that's just it. Really simple. So you can see that the center piece has the exact armhole after taking out our 3/4 inch. So this is me just curving this part down here. And this is it. So I'll cut out the excess that is not part of our armhole. And this is what the actual armhole looks like. As you can see, I'm doing the same thing on the other side of the armhole. I'm also trimming out the excess here. You want to make sure to do this. If not, if you don't do this, it will look as if there's another breast at the armhole area. So you want to make sure to take out this excess, okay? So now I'm done with that, and I've gone ahead to sew the skirt part to the upper bodice. I turned the lining, and this is it. I've fixed my zipper, and I've also gone ahead to fix the sleeves. This is what the reverse side of the outfit looks like. Can you see how neat my work is? I made sure to turn my lining. I placed the lining on the right side of the fabric, and I turned it inside, stitched it, and I turned it inside out. So that's basically it. You just want to make sure that the work is really neat. And I joined the skirt part to the upper part. Now it's time for us to join the gathers to the down part of the skirt. So for the gathers, I've stitched the two pieces together, the short one and the long one, and then I ran a loose stitch, and then I gathered it to the measurement I have here. You can see that my skirt, I've stitched the sides of the skirt, and I have 22 inches here. So let's measure it this way. It's better to get it this way. So here I'm measuring, and you can see what I have. I have about 24 inches, so including the zip allowance. So meaning that the gathers, I'm going to gather it to 24 inches on fold. So when it is open, that's going to be 48 inches. So I'm going to, you can see that the center back here, I didn't stitch that part close because I'm going to sew my gathers around it. So I'll just notch the center front of the skirt, and I'll also fold the gathers into two like this. Can see as it is folded into two, I have 24 inches. So I'm going to place it right side of the lace, facing right side of the fabric at the center here, because you want to make sure that the gathers are even. You don't want to have a fuller effect on the left side and the right side is scanty. So that's the essence of gathering it to the 48 inches in total, and then I got the midpoint, and this is me pinning them together. Okay, so I'm pinning it. I'll pin it all the way to the center back. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. I'll pin it all the way to the center back. And then I'll take this to my sewing machine and stitch on 1/2 inch all the way from the center back to the other side of the center back. And then I'll weave it. After weaving it, I'll close up the center back and then show us the final outcome. So here we are. This is what our gown looks like after stitching the gathers to the hem of the skirt part. And you see how beautiful it looks, and you see how aligned it is at this point. You want to make sure that the points are aligned. It's also aligned at the first step, and it's aligned at the hem. My zipper is well aligned, and it's also aligned at the top. And you can see that I went ahead to weave the inside. Everything is coming out really, really beautiful and neat. So this is my way of saying we have come to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something. If you did, please make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you in my next video. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Bye.